their forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
This is Seth Lawrence, News and Program Director for WHOW and WEZC. We take pride in being Clinton and Central Illinois' local radio stations each and every day, 7 days a week. What does local news mean? Here's a sample.
It's time. It's time to no longer have a neighborhood school and put all the first graders and kindergartners together.
This is a much smaller and localized data breach that was not a data breach of Warner Hospital.
We're one of the largest downstate blood drives in the state of Illinois, thanks to the community.
So far, my thoughts are that this is the way we need to keep it for at least a while. It's easy access for people to park.
You hear the local people that make the news every day, 7 days a week on the big 1520 AM, 92.3 FM, and 106.5 FM WHOW, and on your easy choice for soft hits, 95.9 FM WEZC.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in studio today is Heather Purdeu, director of the Scovill Zoo in Decatur. Good morning, Heather.
Good morning.
And what do you have with you here today?
I have a ring-necked dove squab. So a squab is a dove chick. That's just the term that they use. And you can see this little squab is already getting pretty big, and they grow very quickly. So this bird is only a little more than 2 weeks old, and you can see he's already starting to get the feathers coming in. We haven't actually seen him flying yet, so I hope he doesn't start here while we're sitting here doing this radio spot. But you can see he's already perching and has actually left the nest, although he's usually just perching like right outside. So he is considered a fledgling because he's left the nest, although he's not flying yet.
Okay, gotcha. He's got his head all the way turned around. That is unbelievable.
Yeah, he's grooming right now. So,
do most birds do that?
Yeah, they'll groom themselves. So a lot of birds will have what's called a preening gland, and it's a little gland kind of near their tail feather. So they have to be able to reach back there. And what they'll do is they'll get that, and it's kind of like oils that help clean their feathers off. And so you'll see birds like our flamingos and our penguins, and and he's probably doing the same thing, just getting those glands, and you really can't see it because it's covered with feathers. But
is he soft?
Yeah, he's pretty soft. Do you want to touch him?
No, that's all right.
Okay. But yeah, he's pretty soft, but we get used to them. It's great to use the doves for ambassador programs. So we can take them into classrooms or retirement homes or, just with adults and children. And, we usually encourage people not to touch wild birds, just to leave them alone. And, this way they can touch them and just kind of feel what they're pretty soft.
Yeah.
Especially, you can see he kind of has these outer, we call them covert feathers, kind of tan in color, but then he has these really soft, like downy feathers that are underneath, to help keep him warm.
Gotcha. And he was born at the Scovill Zoo?
Yeah, he was born at the zoo, and we have a couple of birds. We have 2 pairs actually, and we use the males for a lot of programs. The females really don't like to go out in programs, but they're still a companion for the males, because obviously when you think of doves, they do have monogamous pairs, and so they are very happy. They're a social bird, so they are happy being with another bird.
I see. Is it part of a breeding program, or?
It's not part of a breeding program. They're actually a domesticated species. They are domesticated from the African collared dove, and so if you have doves as pets, it's usually these ring-necked doves that you will see as in the pet trade. And you can't really see it on him. He doesn't really have it, but he will grow in these darker feathers around his neck, and it looks like a ring. And so that's where they get the name ring-necked dove.
Yeah. And doves are like somewhat of a kind of unique species, just in how they're kind of I don't know, protected, and I don't know. I don't think hunters hunt for dove a whole lot. I could be wrong, but
yeah, I think there are some dove hunting, but they may have dove hunting seasons, and a lot of our birds are protected under the Migratory Bird Act, and so there's probably dove species that are protected under that.
Gotcha.
But yeah, these and they come in kind of different colorations. He's this typical tan color. We have some at the zoo that are more of just a pure white color, and then you might have some that are kind of a mix of the tan and the white.
I see. Gotcha. Well, beautiful bird,
Yeah.
for sure. So how long do they live?
They can live, into their teens, and so this, is a fairly young bird, and we actually are breeding him to use for ambassador programs at another institution. And if you look at his beak, the other kind of cool thing about doves and some other birds is they produce what's called a crop milk. It's not like mammary glands that mammals have, but they have part of their digestive system is their crop that they'll eat a lot of seeds and stuff, and it kind of grinds the seeds down. And what they do, the parents will kind of, regurgitate the lining of that crop, and then they feed it to their babies. And so if you look at his beak, he's got a lot of orange kind of dried stuff on his beak, and that's from that crop milk that's just dried onto his beak. And the pellets that we feed is like a multicolored pellet, so that's why it's kind of that orange color.
Yeah, so that's not supposed to be there.
Yeah, no, that will kind of flake off. It's just dried food, basically.
Oh, gotcha.
They're kind of messy.
I see. Well, that's still cool.
It's like little kids, when they're learning to eat, and they have the dried food all over their faces.
I mean, I've got a 9-year-old that still does that. Yeah, but so when will he learn to when will he be able to fly then?
Probably any time now, actually. So yeah, once they start fledging, it's usually just a few days. I think right now, he's still growing in, and then he's just got to get a little bit stronger. But he's very content just right now perching on my hand, which is good.
Yeah.
But yeah, he just in a few days he'll be flying.
Gotcha.
But yeah, they grow incredibly fast. When they lay those eggs, it's only a couple weeks. That they need to incubate them. They're pretty prolific. They can lay those eggs and hatch babies, and the babies grow up all very quickly in a short duration.
Yeah, cool. That's awesome. Well, thanks for bringing them in. That's great stuff. So, very good. All right. Well, Heather Purdeu, Scovill Zoo, our guest in studio for this morning, and big weekend at the zoo, Heather. Weather doesn't look terrific, but that's okay. What's going on this weekend?
We actually open for the season tomorrow, so we're very excited to reopen. I know it's been a long summer for us and probably for all of our guests that come to the zoo, so we're excited to open. However, like you said, the weather is not looking the greatest. I know there's rain and it's going to get pretty cold and chilly. So unfortunately, we're not able to move a lot of our animals out that we would normally like to move out, such as our tortoises, our guinea pigs, our cranes, some of our other birds. So once we get through this weekend, next week looks warmer, so we're hoping then we can start moving things out next week. We want them to get acclimated to the temperatures, when they've been indoors. Some of them may be indoors, maybe not at 68 degrees, but in the 50 degrees. But when it's getting down to 30 degrees at night, that's still pretty chilly, and we don't want to move them out when it's that chilly right away. They need some time to get used to that.
Yeah, I'm sure. Looking for a little more consistency in the weather. Yeah, that makes sense. And is it always this way where it's just kind of like we got to just play the weather by ear and see who's ready to go out?
Yeah, there's been some years where we've moved animals out on opening day because it's gotten warmer on opening day. And I remember last year we opened a little bit earlier. It was March because Easter was that weekend. And it was a little bit warmer. And so we were able to have some animals out. And then we'll watch the weather. And if by the end of April, if we have another cold week, we may have to turn around and move stuff back in.
Okay.
It's just
so they could go in and
April
out.
Is it's just the unknown. Everyone kind of knows April can kind of go back and forth. And so we're always watching the weather and just making sure the animals are getting the best temperatures, and we don't want them out too cold, obviously. And if they're not used to, if they're tropical animals that aren't used to freezing temperatures, we don't really want them out there with that.
Gotcha. So what is the when it comes to animals that could be out this weekend, who's going to enjoy this weekend's weather?
Yeah, some of the animals that we have all out all winter, such as our wolves, all our petting zoo animals are out all winter, and so like the goats and the cows and the pig. And especially those goats will be ready for us to open because they've missed out on all that food. Our guests feed them through the summer. So it's kind of fun.
They're famished now.
Yeah, I know. I go down there. I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys, some of them are a little bit bit thinner, which is probably better for them actually. But then they're excited to open, and we get those feed machines back out. But
They see the feed machine.
yeah, they see
know
the
it's
feed
go
machine,
time.
and they're gonna know. But yeah, and like other birds, like our flamingos are actually out a lot during the winter,
Really?
and our pelicans, because our flamingos are from Chile, which gets pretty cold as well.
Mm-hmm.
However, if it's really, if it's in the 20s or if we have snow on the ground, we don't let them out because we don't want them, just standing in the snow
Mm-hmm.
necessarily. But otherwise, yeah, they're able to go out. Our wallabies, they have a heated barn that they can go in or out during the winter. And so they'll go in and out, but they should be out. So some of those animals will be out. Our herp aquarium, of course, people can walk into that building and see those animals in there.
Gotcha. Very good. Well, opening weekend is upon us. Remind us kind of what the hours are for the zoo the first few months. I know, was it Memorial Day kind of
Yeah.
things transition? How about that?
Yeah, so we're open every day at 9:30, and we close at 5 o'clock on the weekends, but the zoo grounds close an hour later. So the zoo grounds will close at 6.
Okay.
And then, hello. Sorry, my little bird is starting to check things out here.
That's okay.
And then during the week, Monday through Friday, the zoo closes an hour earlier, so at 4 o'clock, but then people can walk around until 5.
Okay.
And then, like you said, during Memorial Weekend, that's when we ramp up into our summer hours.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Very good. So any special events or anything coming up the first month or two of the new season?
Yeah, one of our biggest is our Easter event. So that's always a popular event. We do a members only breakfast that morning for our zoo members, an Easter breakfast. However, that has already sold out. So that has been very popular. And then we have our free to the public egg hunts in the afternoon. And so those start at 1:20. We do, since COVID, we started doing a couple different heats, which has really worked out well instead of just doing one, because sometimes it's hard for people to get there right at that time. So the first heat will be at 1:20, and that is for anyone with special needs. So that's child or adult. And then from there, I think the next heat, is at 1:50. And then we do 3 just for the children, and it's usually we have them sectioned off so our little toddlers can be in one area, and then like our next size kids maybe from like 3 to 6 are in another area. Then our older hunters, our more experienced egg hunters, they go in another area. So
I think Ken called those the professional leagues.
yes,
so.
the professionals. Yes,
Yep.
absolutely.
Yeah, very nice. And that's when, I'm sorry?
That will be on the 19th. That's Saturday before Easter Sunday.
All right, very good. Is that sold out or does it sell out?
The hunt, we don't take reservations. It's free, so anyone's welcome to come. And then that day, it's $3 admission all day.
Oh, nice.
So you could come out to the zoo and either see the zoo before the egg hunt or afterwards.
Nice, very good. So put that on the calendar. Always a popular event
Yes,
from what I gather.
very popular.
So, sure. So very good. Very good, Heather. Again, anything else on opening weekend? Anything the first month or two that we didn't touch on for the zoo?
No, I think the only other things are we still have our Zoo Buddies going on. It's monthly, and I think there's still spots available. I think in the afternoon session, and that will be next Tuesday. And the theme this month are red pandas. So,
Okay.
I mean, obviously always a popular animal at the zoo.
Sure.
So,
Yep.
but you can call the zoo to get registered for that Zoo Buddies class. And that's for ages 3 to 5.
Okay, so check that out if you're interested. Where do folks go to learn about all these things going on, Heather?
They can check out our website at scovillzoo.com, or they can check out our Facebook page. We update that quite a bit too with our special events, and sometimes it may just be a cute picture of an animal that day. So always check out our Facebook page. We're always updating that.
Sounds good. Heather Purdeu, director of the Scovill Zoo, our guest in studio. More to come with Heather on the morning show.
WHOW.
MR Systems Wireless is your local internet provider for Clinton and surrounding area. They have the products you want and the local service you deserve. MR Systems Wireless Internet service for home or business includes unlimited data, unlimited streaming, and unlimited calling. Plans start at just $48 a month and get a free Roku 4 lease with our media packages. Get the speed you need with MR Systems Wireless. Call them at 935-2100. That's 935-2100 for MR Systems Wireless.
Experience the power of better connection with Connexus Fiber Internet. Connexus delivers ultra-fast, reliable speeds to keep you connected at the speed of life. Whether you're working from home, streaming your favorite shows, or gaming with your friends, Connexus has you covered. Say goodbye to buffering and dropped calls and say hello to fiber fast internet. Ready to upgrade your connection? Sign up today by clicking the Connexus icon at DeWittDailyNews.com. Nothing connects us like Connexus.
In addition to great radio marketing, the Miller Media Group now offers a full suite of digital marketing solutions. Our affordable programs include custom web design and SEO to help you get found on Google. Seeking more inbound web and store traffic? Our Facebook, YouTube, and geo-targeted marketing programs are all designed to make your cash register ring. To get started, call your Miller Media account manager or go to mmgdigitalnow.com. Miller Media Digital, where digital becomes local.
If the flu's got you down, the Warner Hospital and Health Services Walk-In Clinic inside Family Medicine can help you feel better fast. CEO Paul Skowron inviting you to make us your backup plan to better health. Find out more by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police blotter, weather forecast, and more. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, and good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Heather Purdeu is the director of the Scovill Zoo in Decatur, our guest in studio today. Heather, we talked about the zoo opening for the season. What kind of went on over the winter to get ready for this new season?
Yeah. The winters always seem so long because keepers are always ready to open up and get animals back outside. But it's a lot of care. People do ask us if the animals go anywhere else during the winter, and I always tell them no, they stay at the zoo. We have buildings that, a lot of our tropical animals and our warmer weathered animals need to stay in during the winter. So right now we've been doing a lot of cleanup. Sometimes it gives us an opportunity to work on maybe some construction projects. We're replacing the mesh on some of our bird exhibits. So it just kind of gives us a way to slow down a little bit and maybe key in on some of that stuff during the winter.
Gotcha. Anything new in terms of building things or anything like that?
Yeah. So if anyone's been on our Facebook page, they notice we've been kind of teasing our newest exhibit that will be opening this spring, and it will be a mountain lion or puma habitat. It depends on, they're called different names, either cougar, mountain lion, panther. So they go by quite a few different names, but we've been using puma and mountain lion probably the most. But the construction has finally has ended. We have just been able to acquire our pumas. We acquired them from another institution, and right now they go through quarantine. And so this is a time where they're getting used to our facility, their new building, their new environment, and also, we're checking like medical, fecals, and anytime like you get a new animal, you kind of, the vets want to check them out, make sure they're acclimating and they're eating their diets and they're getting used to everything, including the new building and the new habitat.
Yeah, cool.
So we just try to give them time to acclimate to their new surroundings, and then we are looking to open that habitat this spring.
Yeah. Are you at liberty to tell us about the habitat, like what's in there, what kind of thing?
Yeah. I mean, it's a brand new, so it's the habitat actually lies behind our petting zoo and just to the south of our wolf exhibit. If anyone's familiar with our zoo grounds, you can actually see the habitat from the train when it goes back behind, between the lake and the zoo. You can see it from the train as well. And again, it's brand new. I mean, it's beautiful. There's they have a small pool. They have a little rock cave they can lay in that will hopefully keep cool in the summertime, because sometimes laying on that shady rock work is cooler than just laying out in the grass somewhere. There's viewing windows. Kind of a neat thing that with this habitat is they built some training doors so our keepers can open up these doors, and there'll be mesh doors there that they can work with the pumas, doing on like behavioral training. And that's always important. That's something they'll probably do daily, just working with them to, maybe open their mouth, jump up, present their sides. So for, injection training when our vets come, it just doing behaviors like that makes kind of managing them, in human care easier and less stressful for the cats.
How big is a puma?
I'm trying to remember the weights for these guys. They do weigh more than our cheetahs. I would say height-wise, they're about the same as our cheetahs, but they're bulkier. They're a heavier animal. While our cheetahs are lean and built for speed, these guys are bulkier. They're kind of used to, bringing down deer or, other hoof stock that you might see out, west. And they have a really large range too. I mean, you can find them all the way up into Canada and all the way down through South America. So they have just a really long range. They're acclimated for all different kinds of an environment. So they're just kind of a neat animal to talk about.
That's cool. Yeah, that's exciting stuff for the zoo for sure. So
it
look
is.
forward to that. Do we know when that exhibit will open?
It will be this spring. So once we hear when our date is, like, again, we're just trying to give them some time and kind of work out all the everything that we need to, as far as getting different people here that, letting the media know and everything, then we'll announce that. And the other important thing is too, we built a building for them, obviously. And then to the side of that is also, we redid our camel building. So they're actually attached with the same like HVAC system. Obviously the camels are kind of like a different wing, so to speak, of the building. But yeah, we have a new barn for our camels too, which is very exciting.
Nice.
They had a barn which worked well, but this is going to have sand floors, which is great. Camels are large animals, and standing on concrete is not always great for their joints and stuff. So it's kind of like us in our kitchens. We have our kitchen mats that help us with like our backs and our joints. It's the same way with this. And so it has a nice sand floor. It also has heating. Camels do not need heat, but if we ever had one that maybe we needed to do medical work with, we could lock them into that building, and we would be able to provide them with heat if needed, type of thing, which we didn't really have before.
Gotcha. Nice. So upgrades on that building
as
well.
Yes, upgrades for our camels too.
Boy,
so
it feels like it was a busy winter for you all.
Yes, it was. So we had a lot going in one area, and like I said, and we're also working on some, bird exhibits. So hopefully people will be patient as we try to get those exhibits done, and then we can get those birds out.
Sounds good. Well, Heather, where do folks go to learn about all things Scovill Zoo?
They can check us out at scovillzoo.com. They can also check our Facebook page. And if you ever have any questions, please give us a call at 217-421-7435.
Very good. Heather Purdeu, director of the Scovill Zoo in Decatur, our guest. Network News is now.
Street, the Dow down 1,350 points. The Nasdaq is off